The sun slowly dipped below the jagged edge of the tree line way off in the distance. The bright orange sky looked like a painting that could have hung in the York Museum. But now dark, precipitous clouds slowly draped across the sun's fiery kiss. Below was a different world entirely. The last filter of light through the forest canopy had died completely, transforming shadows into a labyrinth of fear. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and the decay of millennia. From the darkness, 3 flashlights hurriedly danced against the backdrop of the trees, revealing brief silhouettes that twisted into hideous shapes before settling back into something more natural. Detective Carmichael, Baz to his friends, was just leaving when Sergeant Sullivan pulled him aside.
Look, Baz, I just had a call from up high. They need someone to go out to the woods and meet this guy who was looking for something. It's all very mysterious, but like I said, it comes from the top brass.
What, you want me to go? Geez, Sarge, I've just pulled a 10-hour shift looking for missing persons. I'm whacked. Isn't there anyone else?
Said Baz, rubbing his eyes.
Sorry, pal. You should have got out the door sooner. Take Officers James and Richardson with you,
said the sergeant, putting his books into a briefcase and turning off his computer.
Oh, don't spend more than 2 hours on this guy. You're in early tomorrow.
Thanks, boss,
said the detective, the sarcasm heavy in his voice. He grabbed the 2 officers from their desks, made a coffee to go, and climbed into the black and white. The patrol car crept through the deserted city streets, the silence broken only by the crackle of the radio transceiver and the ceaseless drumming of rain on the roof. Baz took a long, hot sip of the bitter station coffee. The caffeine was a necessary shield against the exhaustion pressing behind his eyes. In the back, James and Richardson were unnervingly quiet. They were all wondering the same thing. What kind of mysterious something warranted hauling 3 officers into the woods at this hour?
Anyone got a clue what this is about?
James muttered.
You know as much as any of us. I'm hoping this mysterious person ain't there so we can go home.
Baz shrugged, taking the turn onto the dark county road. The street lamps quickly gave way to the dense, oppressive shadows of the state forest. Richardson leaned forward slightly.
Could be a drug drop?
If it was, the brass would have sent more of us. This is a quick and dirty favor for someone with serious pull. Probably looking for a lost briefcase or a politician's embarrassing photo album.
Leaving the city lights behind in his rearview mirror, Boz squinted through the windscreen, the wiper struggling to keep pace with the deluge. The police car headlights cut through the swirling downpour, probing the inky blackness, searching for any sign of their destination. As they rounded a curve, a single vehicle came into view, parked on the muddy verge. The car's beam revealed a man leaning against a beaten-up Carmen Ghia that glistened from the heavy rain. He was wearing a rain-soaked black cape, his head bowed, a dark hood pulled low over his face that made him look like a medieval monk. Detective Carmichael got out, pulled his coat over his neck, and walked up to him. The man didn't move. He just stood there, a statue in the chaos, staring into the forest. His lips were moving, but no sound came out, as if mumbling to himself.
Sir, are you Professor Emma Rose?
Said the detective, tapping the man on the shoulder. The professor jolted, as if coming out of a trance.
Yeah,
He said, turning to look at him. His Germanic accent was thick, dense, but clearly enunciated.
Look, my boy said you wanted some help to find something. I don't know what you're looking for, but me and the boys were out here earlier looking for 2 girls that went missing 2 days ago and didn't find a thing,
said the detective, his frustration barely concealed.
I know. This is the reason why I'm here. Tell me, detective, do you believe in evil?
You don't do my job and not believe in it.
Baz answered, wondering what that had to do with the fact his toes were starting to feel numb.
So what are we out here for?
A creature of the night of some sort. It might look like a wild animal, a rogue wolf, or something else,
said the professor.
Ah, you want the MPS, not us. They deal with things like that,
said the rain-soaked detective, hoping this was the end of his involvement.
Look, officer, I won't take up much of your time, and hopefully this will stop anyone else from going missing.
This made the detective's ears prick up.
Hang on, what do you mean? Do you know something about this case? If you're withholding evidence, pal, maybe you and I should go back to the station and you start telling me what's going on.
Calm down, detective. I cannot help you with your missing girl's case. We are out here to stop a creature. I cannot tell you what it looks like because I haven't seen it,
said the professor, looking him straight in the eye. Baz got a look at the old man. Gray-haired, good-looking in his day, his face looked well-educated but weather-beaten.
I should take you in right now, but I know your friends would only tell me to let you go,
said Baz, liking the man less and less.
Well, shall we make a start?
Said the professor, pulling out a 3-foot pole with a lamp on the end and a heavy battery pack from the boot of the car, then placing them on the ground, then reaching back to grab an old lantern from under a blanket and threw it over his shoulder. Detective Carmichael beckoned over the 2 reluctant officers to grab the items.
So, where to?
Baz watched as the professor held out 2 metal sticks balanced carefully in front of him and said,
This way.
A cold curtain of heavy rain obscured the path ahead. Detective Carmichael took the lead with his flashlight, then the professor, followed by James and Richardson, who were shining their torches in all directions. As they walked toward the edge of the forest, the professor stopped.
What is it, Prof?
Said Baz.
It is waiting for me,
he said.
Let's just get on with it, shall we?
Baz couldn't believe the nonsense coming out of this strange old man. Entering the forest, it seemed to breathe and shift with a sinister life of its own. The wind howled like 1,000 banshees, leaves and rain flying in every direction. There was nothing subtle about the terror that knotted the detective's stomach with each step he took into the gloom. A snapping twig behind Officer Richardson made him jump, his heart a frantic drum against his ribs. He spun around, eyes wide, flashlight searching, but saw only the endless wall of trees. Was it just the wind? He quickened his pace, moving closer to the others. The darkness was now so complete it seemed to swallow the very light from the sky. The windy deluge threw itself with all the vigor of an ice-cold hairdryer onto Detective Carmichael's rain-sodden face.
How much farther? This weather is getting bad. We may have to call it quits tonight.
No, we are nearly there, just through these bushes, in that direction,
he said, pointing slightly to the right. They came to a small glade, maybe 10 feet round. The professor told the men to put the equipment down and started fitting the items together. The beam shone dimly up to the edge of the clearing.
Now what?
Said the confused detective.
We'll wait. It will be angry once it realizes there is no way back and nowhere to hide,
said the professor, staring into the dark trees.
No animal in the world will come near us now the light is on,
said Baz, thinking the man was losing his marbles.
The light is for us, detective. It's not coming for that,
the professor said, still scanning the tree line.
What is it coming for?
Then the penny dropped.
Shit!
The detective's gaze focused on the abyss all around them. They had stood there for what felt like an eternity, facing the darkness that encroached on them on every side. Their hands were clammy, their breaths shallow, waiting for something, but not sure what. The silence was only broken by the sound of an owl or the wind rustling the leaves. The lull was suddenly broken by a loud thrumming noise. Playing Vivaldi's Four Seasons, which made everyone jump. Officer James looked down at his phone.
Ah, shit, it's the wife. I gotta take this. I forgot to tell her I was gonna be late home.
And he walked a few paces into the darkness.
Don't wander too far. The professor's monster could be out there,
said Baz with a small, forced smile, relaxing slightly after the jolt from the ringtone. Even the rain had eased up a little.
Let's call it a night, Professor. It's really late. Not even your creature would be out in this.
But the professor wasn't listening. His hooded head was pointed at the ground, as if he was listening to something far off in the distance.
Yes, darling, I should have called. Well, you shouldn't have done that. Oh dear, that does sound nasty,
said the besieged Officer James, standing in a small clearing maybe 50 feet away from the others. His torch was the only light that peered into the darkness. The sound of his wife's logorrhea was like a mosquito buzzing in his ear. Suddenly, there was a snap of a twig from behind him. Calmly, he said,
I'm gonna have to ring you back, honey,
and canceled the call. Officer James spun around and pointed his flashlight into the brush.
Detective? Is that you?
His eyes wide with a mixture of terror and panic, and getting no answer, he reached for his Beretta. The edge of his flashlight's beam revealed a huge wolf-like creature with massive, sharp teeth and eyes that glowed a malevolent red. Before he had time to react, its huge paws had pinned Officer James to the ground. The sound of 2 loud gunshots echoed all around them, followed by a scream, a man who was truly in pain.
Richardson, with me. Professor, stay here, but don't wander off,
said the detective. And with that, the 2 remaining officers ran in the direction of their colleagues' cries. Officer James was rolling in agony, clutching a blood-soaked arm as the 2 officers burst out of the trees. Baz caught sight of something massive running into the shadows, but turned immediately to the sight of the downed officer.
I've been bitten by a bloody werewolf. Help me,
James cried. Richardson knelt next to him and examined the arm, pulling up the wet sleeve. Blood poured out of several deep puncture marks in James's forearm.
It came out of nowhere. It was huge, straight out of a horror movie. It lunged at me. I managed to block its keep with my arm. God, it was strong. I fired off a couple of shots before he pinned my other arm. I know I hit it, Detective.
A sharp
ouch
escaped James's lips as Richardson pinched his arm.
How is he?
Baz asked.
He'll live,
said Richardson, ripping a piece of his own shirt and using it as a tourniquet.
Baz looked on the ground and saw small droplets of blood that trailed off into the forest. He started to follow the trail into the brush when Richardson said,
Boss, James has lost a lot of blood and he's going into shock. We have to get him back to a hospital.
Can you walk?
Said Baz. James nodded, shakily getting to his feet.
Richardson, take James back to the car and take him to St. Mary's. I will get a ride with the professor.
You can come out now. I know you are here,
said the professor, clutching the old lantern he had brought from his car. Slowly from the shadows emerged a tall, man-like white rabbit, standing on 2 legs, its teeth sharp and eyes glowing red. It moved closer, then stopped, making sure it never came fully into the light.
Go back to the darkness, demon. I have cut off your escape. You cannot return. Run and hide, Umbre. There are no caves to save you. Your fate is sealed once the sun comes up. You will disappear from this world.
The hideous creature did not move its lips from its evil grin. It just stood there and swayed.
So, you are the famous Professor Imrose, I presume. You think you are so smart that you can hunt us down? The human race will always be our prey. Whether we take them back to feed on them or just hunt them for sport, you will never stop us.
I have stopped you tonight, demon, and that's one less Umbre on this earth. The dominance of your kind is over. Go, hide under a rock, demon, but it won't do you any good. The door is now closed,
said the professor, thrusting the lantern towards it.
I have had my fun, but now I will return to the darkness and find a new place to play, if you know what I mean. Professor, I am looking forward to seeing you again. You have been quite entertaining,
said the creature, slowly backing into the shadows.
Oh, and by the way, you might want to check your compass. Goodbye, mortal.
The professor looked down at his compass and then grabbed the metal rods. They were slightly out of alignment.
What the hell was that?
said Baz, coming out of the darkness.
Turning around in surprise, the professor said,
That detective was evil.
But you were talking to it. It looked like a giant man covered in fur. What did you say to it?
said the officer, shaken up by what he had seen and pointing his gun into the brush.
The creature is not what you think it is, or as you perceive it to be. We must stop it before it can attack again,
said the professor.
What the hell is going on, old man?
Baz said angrily, confused and tired, worried the rain and his weary body were playing tricks on him. He had quite enough of this madman's ramblings, but couldn't get the creature out of his head.
Okay, Professor, the others have gone back to the car. James has a nasty gash on his arm, and I've had enough of this shit for tonight. We will come back and hunt for that bear tomorrow.
Convincing himself that it was only a bear and nothing else.
Detective, I need you to help me move the light 80 feet in that direction to stop that thing from coming back,
said the professor, looking at his compass and pointing into the darkness.
Hell no,
said Baz.
There's a bear running around out there. I'm cold, wet, tired, and want to go home.
I understand what you are saying, Detective. But if you are wrong, and it's not a bear you saw me talking to, we can stop the creature tonight. It won't take long, and then we can go,
said the professor, putting his hand on Baz's shoulder and smiling in a reassuring manner.
Detective Carmichael, still not agreeing with him, picked up the heavy battery and followed the professor holding the light into the forest. Baz's senses heightened. Before, all he could hear was the constant drumming of the rain, but now, a cacophony of rustles, creaks, and groans seemed to emanate from all around. He listened intently, trying to discern patterns, to rationalize the sounds, bracing himself for anything that might happen. The professor stopped dead in his tracks.
Did you hear that?
Buzz tried to concentrate through the rain, but all he heard was the deluge that surrounded him.
There, did you hear it this time?
A sound of a twig breaking came from just in front of them.
Stay behind me, old man,
said the detective, and moved forward, gun in hand, and shining his light into the darkness. Through the rain, he saw two red eyes staring back at him. Startled, 2 shots rang out from his Glock 9mm. The eyes disappeared, and he heard a sound of something dashing away through the bushes. He rushed to where the scary cryptid had been standing. Nothing. Buzz's heart was pumping louder than the rain itself. A hand touched his shoulder, and Buzz spun round, ready to defend himself.
It was just a deer, officer. Look,
said the professor, standing there and pointing downwards, then looking straight at the gun and putting his finger on it to lower the barrel away from his chest. The detective shone his light on the ground, twin hoof tracks disappearing into the forest.
How much farther, Professor?
Looking at the rods, the old man said,
Just here will do.
Buzz stood watch while the light was set up once more. Brushing off any dirt from his hands, the professor said,
Shall we go, detective? It's best not to hang around, just in case it's still here.
And marched off in the direction they came. Detective Carmichael quickened his pace to keep up with the professor. No longer sure of what was going to happen next, his senses sharpened. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves sent a jolt of ice through his veins. The forced march back to the Carmen was the longest and fastest in Detective Carmichael's life. But once back at the professor's car, two men stood there, hands on knees. Their lungs worked overtime to restore oxygen to their bloodstream. Then the detective spoke up.
So what did you say to the bear?
I just told him to go away and not come back,
said the professor.
Makes sense.
Said the detective as he got into the car.